All right, welcome to another video from the chart readers. Today we are going to look at the EV sector, and clearly MULN was the story of the day. So we will get to MULN shortly, but like always, I like to start with the bigger name in the sector, this one being Tesla, and then work our way through the rest, right? What are we going to do in the video? Same thing we always do, right? We're going to look at the daily and the weekly. We're going to use our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines that I manually draw. And then once we're done up here, we'll use the MACD and the RSI as our final confirmation. Again, 80% of the work is up here. This is the last 20% just to kind of confirm what we see up here. So look, with Tesla, I'll be honest, the last time I made the video was the 19th and I actually got a little faked out. I'm not here to pretend I know everything. I'm not here to pretend I'm the smartest person. When I make a mistake, I'll own up to it. And really a lot of that is because, look, we're all here to learn together, right? So if I make a mistake, we're all going to see what happened, why I made it, and then knock on wood, we're all going to avoid it the next time it comes up, right? So keep that in mind. But let's take a step back before I talk about this, because again, I like emphasizing this because I say it often. You can see, man, look how much I keep backing up. Look how long, wow, okay, basically here. We start to do this trading in a cluster, right? Whenever you get a bunch of moving averages kind of working horizontally in a tight gap, you're gonna end up trading horizontally until either it goes up or it goes down. Clearly, we see what happens when it goes down here, right? You lose the 8 and really all the lines and then just struggle for almost a month, actually, right? It was a little after the 26th. We're at the 24th today, right? So big emphasis of clusters, which you know I talk about a lot on these videos if you've seen them. So let's talk about my fake out. So again, we continue to trade under the 8, trade under the 8, trade under the 8. We get one day over and then we get a second day over. And then look, you can see this right here. The peak of this day is actually a little less than the peak of this day. I know it looks like pennies, but it was enough to make me think we were going to come up to this yellow, if not even fill that gap right there, right? Again, when you get nothing but a bunch of red days in a row, it's bad for the person who bought it here, but it's good for us when we try to fill it again, right? So a combination of breaking the 8, breaking this 218 line, and then really what this gap fill, I think just got me a little greedy. It just, there's no other way of saying it, right? And I wanted it to go up. I probably should have waited for one more better confirmation, right? Because look, this day was a red negative, and then the following day didn't even get to half of the day before. 50% candle is something you'll hear me say every so often. It's definitely an important rule. You do want to get better than 50% of yesterday. And honestly, I didn't take that into consideration, and clearly it ends up being another fail of the 8. I will say today, at some point in the day, we actually went lower than 200, okay? Psychologically, that has it means something, right? Generally, when there's a bunch of zeros, or it's like a nice whole number, losing that whole number could be really bad. And look, I don't know, because I obviously don't have a line on it, right? My next line started as, I think I gotta make some more lines. My next line is actually not till 191, right? So 200 could be a natural bounce point. Otherwise, it's going to be a bad point to lose. So not liking this RSI. Clearly looks like green is about to go under. Not a good MACD. Overall, not a good daily chart for Tesla. Weekly's not looking very good either, right? So obviously well under the 8. You definitely want to be over the 8 on the weekly because that means you'll have a bunch of good days. This just does not look good. I mean, really, I wouldn't touch Tesla until we broke 218 confidently. You know what I mean? So where does 218? Yeah, I mean, 218 is pretty much going to be a break of the 8 confidently. So yeah, just does not look good. And again, faked out on the 19th. Sad to see. But again, I'm not here to pretend I'm the greatest. I'm here to just teach you what I think. Hopefully you learn, and hopefully you're making some good money too. Hey, Ford actually doesn't look too bad. In all honesty, general, I'm very surprised Ford is back down to 12. It really seemed like Ford was about to break 20, you know what I mean? And to see us back at the $12 range is a little shocking. That said, it seems like So it's funny. This up here looks good, but this down here doesn't, right? And normally I'll say 80% is up here. So I'm kind of leaning up here. I think the really big line, I'm going to make a new one right here. We're going to need to get over this day. If we can actually break 1251, I think there's a good chance of this gap fill right here actually hitting, maybe at least coming to the 50. Ford could be a really interesting one to watch tomorrow, actually. Closed just under it today, but look, a really good day, a nice little, not a gap up, right, but a good pop up. 2 days well over the 8, 2 days well over the 20. I would take a look at this one tomorrow, actually. This does seem like it might want to. Again, this is not a good RSI, but I'm hoping that the 80% of the work up here does matter. Look, I know it's going to sound a little silly to say, but the safest place to get in is going to be up here. All right, it's really noisy to trade down here with all these moving averages, 1, 2, 3, and obviously we're battling the 2. If you can get over the 200, that's just smooth sailing, right? Obviously a lot of profit between here and there, so it sounds a little silly to say don't trade in here, but if you've seen my videos, you know I often talk about safer trading, right? There's no such thing as a guaranteed trade, but believe me when I say it's smoother up here once you're past all the moving averages than in the middle of it when you're, trying to get through it, right? But that said, look, it definitely can make its way up, right? It just sometimes it'll make its way down a little quicker than you'd like to, right? That's kind of the only thing. But yeah, again, I would look at this one tomorrow. If this is at 12:52 in the morning, I could really see this going as high as 1450. Otherwise, I can see this being a good number, 1375. And hey, that is about 10% right there. So that's not a bad move at all. Let's take a look at the weekly. Interesting. Okay, so not a fantastic weekly because obviously we are under the 8. That said, there was a pretty definitive bounce that we've been getting for actually a month now, right? 4 weeks, including this week that we're in on the 200. So a real nice bounce on the 200. And again, that's why we use these lines, right? They're generally the walls up here that you can't break. They're generally the support down here that gives you the bounce. And hey, if you break it, you know it's good. If you lose it, you know it's going to be real bad, right? So again, just the importance of our moving averages. All right, this is it. I know everyone wants to talk about it. I'm glad it was a little early on the list. MULN. Okay, so number one, let's talk about a couple things. This is why I just say don't get in a stock until you're over the 8. Look at all these days trading under the 8. Massive day. And look, even the 20 has been even harder to break, right? So again, I've been saying it for a while. Don't touch this thing until it's over the 8. Once this day happened, look, I'll be honest. I was stressing for confirmation. This day could technically be seen as confirmation, right? Let's talk about the day after. Number one, though it's red, and I know a lot of people see the red candle and they think bad thing, compared to the day before, this is beautiful. We well finished above it, even though we ended down, like some people bought up here, ended here, right? And they were really sad with that end of the day, right? Comparatively, the fact that we closed up here, which is well over 50%, which is well over the 20, it's up here, that's a good thing. It actually is. The following day, look, we just talked about it in the first part of the video, right? We pretty much get 50% candle, right? Look, it's not an exact science. I would say 50 is probably there, so it's probably a couple cents more. But hey, at least it started to make the ascent up. And then, I mean, this morning, it basically gapped up at 21%, right? It does look like we closed over the 50 line, and it actually was at 50 cents. So a little good irony there. And look, the RSI by no means is too high, right? Once we get to like 78, 80, that's when I start saying it's too high, right? But that's a beautiful MACD. That's a beautiful RSI. Look, we might come to, as long as we don't lose 50% candle, this definitely is still in play for sure. The next support, I mean, the next resistance does look like it's here. It might even be a couple cents higher. This is probably going off a little bit further, but it looks like it wants to at least come to about 70 cents. And again, if it breaks 70, it'll run to 80 at this blue line, right? But MULN, again, still looking like it has gas. Make sure you have your finger on the mouse, right? Because again, things can drop and all that sort of noise. But yeah, this does look really good, actually. I like that we broke the 50. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get some nice confirmation of holding the 50, or we just get an extra nice run up and go up to the 100 right there, right? But again, I like the RSI number. I like that we're closing in on 0. I'm loving the gap on the red and the green. I'm loving the gap on the red and the green, and both of them clearly just have green on top, and green wants to keep going up in both of them, which I love, right? Let's take a look at the weekly. Look at that. Again, the weekly is over. Obviously, today's the first day of the week, right? So a lot could happen, but this is a good sign. I like that green is wanting to keep going up. Green over red. I got green over red here. Yeah, again, and the 80 cent where we just talked about kind of lines up here too. It looks like this thing wants to go to 80 because again, what are we doing? We're filling this gap right here. Nothing but red, nothing but red, nothing but red. Hopefully some green gets us up to basically back here. But look, MULN's made a monster move. It's actually pretty much doubled since here. I realize that I've said, you know, stay away until, but even if you got in right here, right? Even if you got in on this day, there's still a lot of profit to be made on confirmations, right? So I know it sounds silly when I say wait for confirmation, but if you get confirmation, there is more money to still be made. You know what I mean? So hopefully MULN was a good showing of that. Look, if you're in already, beautiful. If you're not in already, wait for the break of 54. See if you can ride that to basically 67 and then 80, right? So those are it's only little cents, but it's definitely big percentages, right? 12 cents was 30%, right? So yeah, daily looking good, weekly looking good. MULN, this thing still has a shot to keep going, actually. Just make sure you have a plan. Give yourself an exit, right? Like, this could easily gap down to here, right? Maybe you set yourself a stop loss if you're already into 47 cents. That would be pretty smart because if you lose 47, you might come down to 40, right? So that's not a bad thing to do if you have not already. So LIDR, coming into LIDR. Again, see this is, so far we've reviewed 4 stocks. Tesla and LIDR don't look good. Ford and MULN look good. And I'm not a fan of that. I don't like this like mixed bag when I do a sector review. I like all of them to do well. I don't like it, but I also like seeing all of them do bad, right? When there's this mix, it means uncertainty, right? It probably means some people are moving their money from this to that, or you know what I mean? There's no confidence in the sector, and I don't like that. So again, we're now on the 4th one, and we're pretty much 50-50. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because look, all we're doing is trading under the 8, right? That's a really ugly RSI. If you've seen enough of these videos, this should be very repetitive to you. And again, that's a good thing. That means you're learning. Horrible, horrible, horrible weeklies, right? Again, this should be no surprise on the daily if you've got horrible, horrible, horrible weeklies, right? So LIDR not looking good, but more than anything, I don't like that we are too good, too bad. Coming on number 5, really 2 good, 3 bad. EVGO does not look good. Again, there was what looked like a chance of breaking the 8 and making its way. Clearly, we got a rejection today. Ugly RSI as well. I would imagine that this one's not going to do too good, which sucks because, again, it looked like it had a chance, right? There was a little break of the 8 right there. There was a nicer confirmation of the 8 right there. Actually, looks like it even did better than this day, too. Yeah, pretty much. What looked like a decent gap fill, if not till at least right here, right? But no, unfortunately, it didn't. It started a little better at 50%, so I'm sure that might have faked someone else out, but very sad. Again, I'm not a fan of that, right? I want to see all of them do well. I want to see them all do bad. To me, what it really means is I'm not too sure how long MULN's profits are going to last. Make sure you bank them. Make sure you have a plan. And again, if you're not in already and you're trying to look for a quick pop or two, make sure you have a plan. Because again, out of the 5 we've seen, only 2 have looked good. Polestar, make that out of the 6 we've seen, only 2 are good. Again, not much I need to say. I remember telling people don't buy Don't buy Polestar hoping to get the same MULN pop, right? Again, this one is a SPAC. This one, I know people just have high expectations. I mean, a lot of people thought this was going to be the next Tesla, right? Let's be honest. There's still a lot of unprovenness. And even with MULN, there's still a lot of unprovenness. It's just MULN's had some decent news that I would say has helped a bit, right? But yeah, Polestar, don't assume because MULN's making a run that this one will too. Wait for confirmation. You got to get over the 8. If you're not over the 8, it's not worth your money. I'm telling you. It's just, I think this one's at all-time lows too. Yeah, look, again, hasn't been that many weeks of trading, and believe me, the last thing you want to ask is how much lower can it go? The RSI is at 21. We've seen RSIs down to like 9, right? So, there might be a pop, but we're not here looking for single pops, right? We're here looking for consistent, confirmed uptrends. I said confirmed weird. I couldn't pretend I didn't. Oh man, look at this. Again, what looked like it might have been a nice break of the 20, and if it broke the 20, that would have been some good trading there, right? Today's confirmation wasn't good. And look, as we keep going through this, all of these don't look good. It's only the two. It's only Ford and MULN that have looked well. And I personally am not a fan of that. That makes me just really hesitant in this sector's strength. You know what I mean? So clearly an ugly week, translating to an ugly bunch of days. I really, really wouldn't touch this thing until we broke 95 cents. 95 cents will give us a confident 8 and 20 break. And, again, that's a safer gap between the 20 and the 50, right? Just sad it couldn't get over the 20. And we've seen it on a bunch of different charts, right? It's not easy getting over these lines, right? So, yeah, I don't want to spend too much time because this video has gone on a little longer than I expected. And if you're here through the end, I appreciate you that much more. Look, again, same kind of chart, right? Look, okay, I'll give this one a little bit better confidence. We at least did get over, but look, I really wouldn't do anything unless we can break 110 tomorrow. One, that'll be the good confidence we need for this 8 line, right? But again, look, we've pretty much been just trading horizontally on this 110 for what looks like 2 weeks, right? So this line does seem a little important. I will say, though, this might be, I guess, the number 3 stock of this list. So we'll throw in a little more positivity. I'd check out Solo in the morning as well just to see what happens. Charge point. This one's been trading like Tesla and actually kind of had a very similar day to Tesla. This one right here looked like it had a bit of a channel and then it did break down. Ugly RSI, ugly MACD. This one doesn't look very good actually either. So let's look at the weekly real quick. I don't want to rush charge point because I know charge point is a stock a lot of people like. So again, not a good weekly, right? Nothing but red down here. That's not a good looking RSI. And look, I mean, on the weekly, the RSI has been as low as 6. Let's call it 8, but it's been single digits, right? So this thing very much could see a couple more bad weeks if the conditions are there. So again, not a big fan, but Ford, MULN, and Solo are definitely the ones to look at. I would say MULN, Ford, Solo in that order. Hey, trade safely. I hope you're learning. I'm enjoying doing these. I'm enjoying all the comments and the likes and all that. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions. Have a great one.